that then still GTZ headquarters at Eschborn from 2010 and 2012 to 2013. There, in this position, I had the opportunity to get to know in more or less detail the Duale Hochschule Baden-Württemberg, DHBW. This is complicated even for a German. And I was fully convinced on how the core principles have been applied in Germany. And I always believed in an adapted fashion that can be of interest in many other environments. Adapted fashion, of course, because the real life situations in different contexts are, of course, different from what we have in Germany and Baden-Württemberg. In 2013, I went to Palestine, to Ramallah, managing a classical German GIZ, then dual training program, mainly working on technical training centers, vocational training centers with their own staff, which had more or less link to the private sector, usually less. And the trainees there, young people with a limited school education, had the usual internships with little affiliation to the nitty-gritties of how the enterprise functions. During my period, what we talk about 2014, then we had more and more context, sometimes informal context to enterprises. Of course, when you do dual training, you try to get as much as possible involvement of the enterprises, the local enterprises. And there was always a statement, well, the trainees from dual training, they more or less serve their purpose, but what we get from the Palestinian universities doesn't make any sense. We have to start from scratch when we hire them. And I always thought to myself, we have an answer, but I didn't have any means for responding at that stage. Then Al-Quds University in East Jerusalem was in touch with the Technical Hochschule Aachen, and they approached us, both Al-Quds and Aachen, whether we could fund a technical center inside Al-Quds University, which was meant to have better laboratories, if you wish so, for students. And I was fortunate enough, clear enough in response. I said, we can only do that if there's a clear involvement, a leading involvement of the private sector. Then I'm ready to work for that. And to cut a long story short, 90% of the academics said no. Private sector, labor market, that's not our cup of tea. They don't know, they are not academics. Exactly what Mr. Fischer said. Yeah, I had for several months a discussion. But we had two people who were ready to grasp the chance, the opportunity, to understood the particular opportunity, which was the presence of the German corporation, and a particular opportunity then in BMZ, which has to give the money because, as you probably know, GIZ, a public-owned company, does not have their own funds. It needs funds from the BMZ, from the German government, to implement programs. There was a special initiative, employment promotion. It was a different name, employment promotion for young people in the Middle East. You know? There was a lot of money available. So those two academics, they got a chance, they understood, and that's one of the core principles Mr. Fischer said, they understood the demand of the private sector. And that's where we started. A few change agents in the university, quite a number of change agents in local enterprises. In the beginning, only in information technology and electronical engineering. There was also a relatively strong basis of local enterprises. And one person in the BMZ who was ready to give the money. And it was a paradigm shift. And if you do the paradigm shift, you need many things. You need, of course, as I said, a few change agents. You need the long breath, the langen Atem, as we say in German. You have to overcome a lot of obstacles. And of course, you need success to make an innovative effort, innovative approach sustainable. With the core people of the university, with, I think, in the beginning, 10 enterprises who pushed and who are ready to communicate with the university, with the German funding and with the expertise of the DHBW, which we subcontracted as GIZ because we had the process know-how, but we didn't have the technical detail know-how. We developed in the years 2014 to 2016 the basis of a faculty for dual vocational education at Al-Quds University in East Jerusalem. And already after the first years, there were intermediate successes, if you wish so. Intermediate success were mainly the few employers who took the risk and who took the chance to go into this new approach, who said after 1 year, the trainees we have, they make a big difference compared to the interns we usually have from universities. Why that? As Mr. Fischer said, the enterprise from the beginning had a strong say in the development of the curricula, which means they could, in discussing with the few innovative professors we had at Al-Quds University, they could discuss the adaptation of the academic content in line with the needs of the enterprises, and they could bring their own expertise in. And the second level of success were the young people, the students, who said, yes, we did the right choice. We have a completely different learning experience. We have to work hard, as Mr. Fischer said, less vacation, yeah, more work. In particular, when you work in the West Bank and you have to go to East Jerusalem for university, detours which we as Germans or Costa Ricans or Europeans cannot imagine, already at that stage, I'm not talking about 2024. And we had also to overcome a lot of prejudice, yeah, because in the university, there were enough teachers and co-students who in the beginning didn't take these kind of students who spent half of their working year in enterprises. They didn't take them seriously. Now, I make a step because I don't want to take too much of your time. I had the opportunity to do a final work session. I'm retired by now, by the way, a final work session as country director for GIZ in Jordan in the last year. And very few days before the sad and terrible set of October, we had a joint seminar, a joint workshop with graduates from Al-Quds University, East Jerusalem, and graduates of the later established dual study program at the German Jordan University in Jordan. And by the way, Dr. Froberg, who managed or co-managed that program for GIZ, he is also with us today, and he will be available in the working group 2 with me later. So if you have any question, ask him for more details because he's the more technically expertised than I am. Well, we had that workshop on the 3rd of October, 2023. And speaking now to the second generation of graduates of the Al-Quds dual program, was such reward for me. I was so happy to hear how self-assured they are, how happy they are, how convinced they are with the choice, and most importantly, I think more than 90% are employed, which are in an economy like the Palestinian economy, which is extremely challenging, even before October 23, is a large success. So to cut my story short, what were the core principles I see in the development context to bring in a new approach, a challenging approach, but a promising approach in probably any given developing economy? And when you listen to my 3 conditions, you find indirectly, implicitly, the 5 Mr. Fischer said. First, there must be a demand, and demand came from the private sector, from the enterprises who said, we need differently, better qualified graduates from universities. Otherwise, we lose time and money when we have to retrain them from scratch after graduation. Secondly, you need committed private sector. This is exactly what Mr. Fischer said when he talked about companies. And you need change agents on all levels. You need change agents in government because we got the green light from Ministry of Education to go ahead. That was the first commitment we needed. Secondly, we had committed companies, of course, and we had the academics, the few change agents who are ready to work against the majority of their colleagues and who convinced the president of the university that is an opportunity to be taken. And that's again, that's one of the five prerequisites of Mr. Fisher as well. He talked about authorities, academics, and companies. And the expertise we offered in subcontracting the dual Hochschule, the DHBW, without this expertise, convincing expertise, who could talk from the day-to-day experience in their own university in Germany, who were ready also to adapt that experience, because a one-to-one copy will never work. Yeah? I mean, you cannot demand all Palestinian expertise in 2014 without positive experience that they directly fully valid contracts with the trainees, with the students, and pay them directly fully fledged salary. They paid usually a small stipends, or at least the travel fare from Ramallah to Jerusalem. Yeah, but these core elements we succeeded in, and I think with these, what I say, three preconditions in the technical cooperation context, I'm confident that a similar approach, always adapted to the local economic conditions, can be applied. Thank you very much. Again, I'm available together with Dr. Froberg later on in the session too, and I'm looking forward to your question. Thanks.